We have reached the end of the year and I still have not gotten this reading corner together, but don't you worry, in 2024 I will be getting a new bookshelf and this will all look so much better, I promise. I know this is probably stressing you out. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a really fun video. It is December 24th, which means it's end of the year reading wrap up time. I've seen a lot of my favorite creators push out their like 2023 top 5 like reads or like 5-star reads. It's time for me to do the same. I wanted to do 23 books that I gave 5 stars, and honestly, when I was trying to narrow it down, I've had so many good reads because unlike last year, I had just gotten into reading again after like 6 years in August of 2022. So I read about like 25, 26 books by the end of the year. I was only really reading like Book Top's most hyped books at the time, because when you first get into Book Talk, you will get bombarded with the same like 10 books. So like I read all the popular ones, and then this year I read a lot of popular Book Talk books, but I also tried to branch out and really just be intentional and only read books that like I feel like I would thoroughly enjoy. So I did that, and then I spent the rest of this year, like last half of this year, trying to find books that I haven't really heard people talk about, just trying to like branch out, broaden my horizons outside of Book Talk recs. Nothing wrong with Book Talk recs. I actually think that like some of my favorite books have come from Book Talk, contrary to popular belief. But without further ado, we're going to get into my favorite reads of this year. These are all 4- and 5-star reads for me. Some of them are going to be on my Kindle. I'm going to just start with the books that I've read on Kindle, which is not really that many. I think it's like 2 or 3, and then the rest will be physical books. The first one is One Last Job. I read this one on Kindle, but I do really want the physical version. This was my first like workplace romance that I've read, and I think I want to get more into that like niche trope in 2024. It was a lot of fun. I read it on my way to Florida, and I just really liked how there was more like a dislike to lovers. I wouldn't really say enemies to lovers. She overheard him talking negatively about her job, not realizing all the stuff that goes into her job, and then it kind of like left a bad taste in her mouth towards him. But over time, like he kind of won her over, and like they started to like develop a real friendship. And my favorite like niche trope that is in this book, I love it so much. So I love when the family members are talking negatively about like the MMC or vice versa, and like the other person hears it and they're like, what are you saying? Like, why are you talking about him like this? Why are you talking about her like that? You won't talk about them in my presence like that. I just love that like defensive like protectiveness that comes in like situations like that. So it was just such a fun read. Another one is Black Ties and White Lies. Kat Singleton, I want to read more of her books just because of how fun this one was. A lot of people are like, I've heard like very mixed reviews of like how it was fast paced and very insta lovey, but I thought it was really interesting that like she was dating his brother, his brother didn't treat her right, and then like years pass and he kind of comes up with a scheme to like basically get her in his like vicinity and proximity, and like basically like kind of forces her to date him, but like not really. Well yeah, it was like it's forced dating, it's fake dating. And or this one I think was forced, fake, not forced, I keep saying forced. I think it was fake marriage, fake engagement. I don't remember. I read this like 7 months ago. I just know that like every time I think about really fun books, this one always comes into my mind, because I had a really fun time reading this, and it made me want to read more of Kat Singleton's book. I briefly started another Kat Singleton book. I think it's called Rewrite Our Story. It's on Kindle. I'm not reading that one right now, but I do want to get into more of her writing because it seems really fun. I think that was it for Kindle. All right, we can get into my physical books, which I cannot wait to start with. So if you guys don't know, I'm a very big hockey romance girl. I love reading hockey romances. So my first hockey romance was Icebreaker, and I did not like it, and I was almost turned off from hockey romances because of how Icebreaker was written. But this one right here, Iced Out, I love an obsessed man, okay? I think it's so fun. And this man, he was simping hard for her. And the playlist for this book so good. Such a fun, I love books that have really fun playlists that go along with the book, but like I just really enjoy this book. Like it was so fun. I even think like the little details about the book, like the team roster that's in it, like the map that's in it, I just thought this book was a lot of fun. And like I said, the playlist, one of my favorite songs is like the first song on this playlist, which I don't know, I had such a fun time reading this book. I gave this one a 5 stars. I remember that vividly because I was like, okay, if they're all like this, I want to read more. Speaking of hockey romances, this one is Her Greatest Mistake. I feel like this book does not get talked about enough on any platform. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, I just feel like this book deserves more hype. This is, my neighbors have like the loudest kids ever. This one is it's like a second chance romance, which I usually don't like because it's a miscommunication trope usually. However, this one is a second chance romance with a miscommunication trope, and I just think it was super well done, and the miscommunication trope made sense. She basically screwed him over and it almost cost him his career, so then they didn't really talk, and like there's like a lot of like moving parts to this story. I just really enjoyed it, and like them falling back in love with each other. I've always said that I wanted to reread this one just because it was really good, because they were childhood friends. So 5-star read. These are all seeming like sports romance books, but like hold on, I promise. So this one is Say You Swear. This is a very popular book talk book, but when I tell you, I've never fallen harder for a man in my life. Noah Riley, like when girls dream up the perfect man, they're talking about Noah Riley. This is a college football romance, and it's kind of a love triangle. You might be afraid of like the love triangle, and let me tell you, I was too when I found out it was a love triangle because they never pick who I want. This book does throw you for a curveball, okay? It is like, there's something that happens in this book that is absolutely wild, and it made me cry a little bit. This is one of the first books this year that made me start crying, but it's so good. It's so good. 5-star read. Now, when I tell you, me reading cowboy romances is not what I had in mind for 2023, but then I got introduced to Miss Elsie Silver. That woman knows how to write cowboy romances, okay? Like the men that she writes is top tier. So I've read the entire Chestnut Spring series, but the two that stood out to me in particular are Powerless and Reckless. Jasper and Theo, are you kidding? Especially Theo. This one is a single mom parent trope, and this one is like a ballerina. Is he a hockey player? Yes. This one is childhood friends with a hockey and ballerina player, and then this one is like a one-night stand that ends up with her being pregnant, and then he doesn't know because she doesn't tell him. It's a whole thing. I will say that these two were my favorite in the entire series. I think that these are the most fun like stories to read. I just really love Jasper, and I really love Reckless, and I like both Winter, which is Theo's love interest, and I think her name is Sloane. I don't know why I couldn't remember her name. Yeah, I really enjoyed Sloane's like whole backstory and storyline too. This one is probably the most interesting book that I've read all year. It's called Alone with You in the Ether. I actually did not see anybody talk about this on TikTok when I picked it up. I just really like the cover, and then the name alone really caught my interest, but when I started reading it, I was like, I have never read anything like this in my life. I don't know what's happening with the lighting. I'm really sorry. I will say that this one I had to really take my time and understand the words that were being processed in my brain, but I do think about Aldo all the time. I think about Aldo and Reagan a lot, but specifically Aldo. I don't know, something about his character and just how he thought about things was just super appealing to me, and I just love this book so much. I do plan to reread it one day just to see if I get a different perspective from this book, but it was definitely a 5-star read. The Twisted series is probably one of the most talked about series that you will find on Book Talk, especially just getting into Book Talk. You'll hear about Alex a lot. You don't really hear too much about Christian. I know people really like Alex and Josh a lot, but my favorites are Reese and Christian. These two are my favorite books out of the series. This is my top one. If you like Princess Diaries, this is very much like adult Princess Diaries. And who doesn't love the bodyguard trope? That's like, I have like a set list of favorite tropes, and by far the bodyguard trope, it just always does what it needs to do. It's always so fun. And because these two didn't really like each other off rip, they were both like super grumpy, I was like, yes. We have Christian. He's a bit problematic. Okay, Christian is a bit problematic, but like I really enjoyed this storyline. I liked him and Stella's like storyline together. I thought it was really interesting because Stella is an influencer, and he was like, I don't really know his like, I don't really know Christian's job description. He's into a lot of different things, but I really like this as a whole. I think it was really fun. I don't know how many times I have talked about Hawk on my channel, so I'm gonna make this very brief. I have read this twice this year. It's so good. It's like a romantic suspense thriller. I gave it 5 stars. This is what started my Jessie Hall obsession. Like, I read this and then I felt like I just had to read the rest of her like catalog. Like, I was just like, I have to. It was so good. If you're someone who likes dark romance, but like very like mild dark romance, but you like a little bit of mystery and suspense, I would recommend Hawk. It's really good. 5 stars. Then we have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This was also another, I think I gave this one like a 4.5. I want to give it 5 stars, but it was like a little lengthy, so like sometimes it was a little bit boring, but I did really enjoy this overall. Julian is my man. I love a man that can just like fix and build things, but also like I like the like childhood second chance lovers type thing that was going on here. And this is also a small town romance, so you know what I mean? I love my small town romance. In my last video, I said that I did not like the cover of Archer's Voice, but then I got the special edition Archer's Voice. I also just reread this. Still 5 stars. Still 5 stars. This book gives me, I don't know how to express my love adequately for Archer's Voice, okay? After rereading it, like, this man is in my heart. My love language is acts of service. I cry a little bit knowing that Archer literally went through multiple bags of chips to find the folded ones because Bree likes folded chips, so she didn't have to hunt for them and just put them all together. And this is also the annotated ones, so like Mia's like annotations are in this book, which I think is really cool. So 5 stars, still to this day, I absolutely love it. This is another one on Book Talk that is heavily talked about, but rightfully deserved. Okay, like, when I tell you, listen, I was scared to start this, one because like, do you see the size of this? But also more so just because this is a very like, I have not seen anyone say anything bad about this. The only thing I've ever heard about this book is that people said it was like someone, not even people, like 1 or 2 people said it was very predictable, but like Lana, oh my, this had me on the edge of my seat. This whole series, if you are just getting into Book Talk and like you don't want to listen to any other book recommendation, my cat's going through something right now. If you want to listen to any other book recommendation, I promise you, this one, you need to. It's so good. Like, I recommend reading this. I want to read this over again. It was just so good. For me to be a heavy romance person, I was more interested in like the whole backstory of Lana more than I was their relationship, even though the relationship was really cute. Now to the books that made me cry. I was introduced to Jennifer Hartman's writing this year, and this woman has not failed to shake me up and make me start crying every single time. She has like this trilogy thing going on. I'm not gonna include The Stars Are on Our Side because like I like that book, but I don't know, like these two were very top tier, especially Lotus. Like, I thought that like Nothing Can Stop Still Beating. I read Lotus in the, oh, my tears. My tears. There's like something that happens at the end of the book that I don't want to spoil it, but it had me crying. Okay, I was sobbing in my bed. I don't know, what about her writing is so good, but it's really, really good. Like those are very much 5-star reads. Inspired by Emily McIntyre. I'm slowly making my way through this series. I don't know what's taking me so long. I think because I really, really enjoyed Scar. I don't think I gave this one a 5 stars. I might have given this one 4 stars because like in the beginning it was a little slow, but I had to stick with it. But once I was in it, oh, this was so good. I love a good enemies to lovers, and I love rooting for the villain of it all. So like, any chance that I get to root for the villain in the story, I'm going to eat it up every single time, especially if the villain's name is Tristan. So like I said, I don't think I gave this one a 5 stars. I think I gave it like a 4 stars just because like it was very slow in the beginning, but once it picked up, I really, really enjoyed it. I also got introduced to Sophie Lark this year. I have a thing for morally gray men. If you don't know, I'm very much a morally gray woman. And Cole Blackwell, chef's kiss. And I like that in these books, like I also got the illustrated version, so like just seeing the artwork in these books are really, really nice. But also like she has like a listed where you need to listen to certain songs throughout the book, and I think that was like really key for this reading experience. I talked about this one in my last book, but I have never read a Rockstar Romance before I read this one. But I don't know, this romance was just so interesting because the FMC, like I said, she is never explicitly said, but I did talk to the author, and she is meant to have like a neurospicy like edge to her. So however you want to interpret her neurospicy, it's how you interpret it. But like she is very much like a neurospicy FMC, and I thought that was really cool to read about and like really get in the head of someone. I haven't had that experience reading ever. And then Walker Favron, my nonchalant goofy king. He was so like very nonchalant, laid back. He did make me mad. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I did want to punch him in the throat reading this. I really, really did. I did throw my book across the room reading this, but nonetheless, 5 stars. 5 stars. I know the length is going to intimidate you, but I promise you, I had a lot of fun reading this book. We have another Jessie Hall book, That Sick Love. I was not prepared for this at all. Still 5 stars. This book was crazy. There's a scene in this book that I do not fail to not think about once a day. And this is not a hyperbole, okay? I think about this every single day. This one particular scene. The scene has dumbfounded me. But Arrow, if you want to talk about stalkers, you can't talk about stalkers until you talk about Arrow. So if you have not met Arrow and you like stalkers, he's your guy. This one I did talk about in my last video is Underlock by Mariana Zapata. I want to read more biker romances in 2024, so if you have them, let me know. I gave this one 4 stars. I really, really liked it. It was a little slow sometimes because it's a slow burn, and Mariana Zapata loves to edge us all. So it was very much a slow burn, but I really did enjoy it. Ravenhood series, I don't think I could make a 2023 wrap up without talking about the epic, iconic Ravenhood series, okay? This series changed my life, okay? I sobbed, I cried, it wrecked me, it put me back together. I was falling for people I never thought I was falling for. I was getting frustrated with people this series, Exodus is probably my favorite in the entire series. Flock, I will say, is a little boring. So if you started Flock and were like, I can't get into it, I promise you, you just need to get to Exodus. And then the finish line will break your heart a little bit more, but it'll put them back together, and you'll be like swooning for people who you never thought you would have. Okay, like listen. I get excited talking about the Ravenhood series. It is one of my favorite series of all time. I've talked about these in my last video, so I'm gonna keep it brief. I really, really, truly enjoy this one. Mile High is another one of my favorite hockey romances. And then we have The Right Move. I'm currently reading Caught Up, which is a single dad, like nanny trope. I'm having a lot of fun. I will say that Liz Tomford, she only writes bangers, okay? When it comes to this Windy City series, bangers. This series progressively gets better, and I don't know how she does it. Like, I have been scared. I'm always scared to start the next book in the series, because like after reading Mile High, I adored it. Fell in love with Ryan Shea, and I actually did not like him that much at the beginning, but I fell in love with this man because he's an acts of service king. And now I'm reading Caught Up by Liz Humford again, and well, not again, but I'm reading Caught Up by Liz Humford, and I'm falling in love with Kai and Miller. Okay, like I don't know, she writes bangers. I don't talk about this author enough, but her name is J. Daniels. She is, I believe, an indie author. If you like small, cute little summer reads, her Alabama Summer series, I ate this book up in a day. I did this one in like a day and a half. No, I also think I read this one in a day too. These are just so fun. The Alabama Summer series, the men in this series are fun. If you like a cop, like best friend's brother, like trope, this one was really, really fun. And then this one is like a closed off, grumpy, I got my heart broken man who doesn't want anything to do with anybody, but then he meets this girl and he just like is instantly attracted to her, instantly wants to know more about her. Boom. There you go. Oh, this woman, she has the key to my heart. She has this Mafia Romance series, the Darkverse series. I've talked about this series endlessly on this channel, and I talk about it endlessly on my TikTok. The Annihilator is my favorite one. Dane, I also think about this man every single day. Okay, I do. I do not go a day without thinking about Dane. So if you like Mafia romances and have not read the Darkverse series, I urge you, okay, I urge you to read this series. It is so good. I don't know what I would do without my Mafia men. Okay, I really wouldn't. Keep it brief, but this is a dark academia. I said his name was Vlad in the last video. His name is Vad. But I really fell in love with like the whole dark academia concept, so I probably will be reading some more in 2024. But I like this whole like, I don't know, it was just like dark Hogwarts, like very goth Hogwarts vibe that was in this book. It was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, one more. It wouldn't be an end of the year wrap up without me talking about Lucy's Score, and this is Forever and Ever. Very cozy winter read. If you're like looking for like something that is like going to keep you on the edge of your seat, it's very romantic suspense because like there's a lot happening, but she will edge you. This is another slow burn. She will edge the hell out of you in this book. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was getting whiplash from Brick and Remy, but I really enjoyed it, and I also gave this one 5 stars. It's really good. So I think that's all the books that I really enjoyed this year. Those are all the books that I have given 4 or 5 stars in 2023. I don't even know how many books that was. It was probably well over 23 though. But what were some of your favorite reads of this year? Were there any on this list that you enjoyed? Are there any from this list that you guys are going to put on your TBR? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.